If you're a man that actually wants to do jiu-jitsu for the rest of your life, then it is very important that you know the best possible exercises to develop the strength of your joints. Those that are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Paul Green, as you can see, former British paratrooper and Special Forces Support Group operator. I now run the longevity program in which I help men get rid of injuries, get in the best shape of their lives. As you can see, all them different types of injuries, and yeah. Right. Before I get into the exercises, it's so important that you understand and just give yourself a bit of a reality check here. I'm going to say these exercises, and something's going to start yapping in your brain that says, I can't do them exercises. My knees would burst. My elbows would snap. Remember, there is part of your brain, the survival part of your brain, wants to keep you comfortable, wants to keep you weak. Every doctor, every physiotherapist, every physical therapist, every person that comes to your life tells you that you must rest, tells you that you shouldn't do anything enjoyable in your life. Right? You know this is true. Use it or lose it. If you don't use your knees don't need to be strong. They will be weak. What you do with your body is your body is the ultimate predictor. It gets strong if you need to be strong. It gets fitter if you need it to be fitter. It will get weaker if you need it to be weaker, i.e. if you train and all the rest of it. Right? Not going to explain too much on that. Hopefully you appreciate that the mindset reality of the situation. If you haven't used it in years, if you haven't trained it in years, you're going to probably start to feel the effects. Now, if you do use it and you do train it, it's going to be part of your strengths. Exercise number 1. Full knee bend squatting. Now, you can see on these videos here, this is me doing a full knee bend squat. Doesn't matter. I'll pause it there while I make this point. It doesn't matter if you're doing a full knee bend squat on a hack squat machine. It doesn't matter if you're doing a full knee bend squat with your heels elevated. It doesn't matter if you're doing a full knee bend squat on a Smith machine or on a barbell squat. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that you choose a variation of a squat that allows your individual mobility levels to get full knee bend. Right. Subscribe to the channel for more content that builds your confidence in effectively strengthening your joints. It's all I'm here to do. I'm not here to... I just want to build your confidence to do this shit because this shit works. Again, doctors, physiotherapists, strength coaches, personal trainers say, you shouldn't go past 90 degrees. If you don't go past 90 degrees, you're not prepared for life, especially jiu-jitsu. If you don't go past 90 degrees, you don't actually develop the strength of your knees fully. You leave a huge gap. And when strength meets the gap, there's a massive line of vulnerability. So you need to start squatting full knee bend. And yes, of course, as a beginner lifter, you might go into the gym and start squatting. Or being told 90 degrees, yeah. Listen, I can completely empathize with you. I used to coach people to 90 degrees. And I used to think to myself, why are they stopping at 90 degrees? And I used to coach people beyond 90 degrees, and I'd get told off by my superiors for doing so. Anyway, I decided to leave the army and stop coaching people in the army because I didn't agree with what they were saying. They were trying to keep people safe, not pushing people's joints, not strengthening people's joints and not making them resilient. Anyway, full knee bend squatting, as you can see here. And I want you to pay attention to my face, right? Not going in the gym and doing bums and tums, little circuit workout or warming up. Actually training with intent. I'll talk more about that in a bit. Right, you get the idea of me. And then you've seen multiple different injuries here. Right? You've got runner's knee, full knee bend squat. You've got an LCL tear, full knee bend squat. Same with meniscus. However, meniscus is a little bit more delayed. You've got runner's knee again, full knee bend squatting. ACL tear. We're not full knee bend squatting at the start. However, we're building up to a full knee bend squat. You've got weak and stiff knees, 62-year-old, full knee bend squatting. You've got MCL tear there at the bottom. And it just happened on the left, and then on the right, he's on his Smith machine. Notice another thing, right, is everybody here, he's training at home, he's training at home, he's training at home here. It doesn't make a difference where you're at. This can always happen. You as an individual can always do a full knee bend squat. However, like I said earlier on, when I say full knee bend squat, something in your brain is going to start yapping, saying 90 degrees, it's going to hurt. Listen, you need to be doing full knee bend squatting in order to make your knee strong. There is no other way of getting around this. Exercise number 2, horizontal pressing. So here's one of my clients here, just doing some straight up pressing, and he's not thinking that, oh, I'm a bodybuilder. Oh, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm not a bodybuilder. I don't want to build the strength. I don't want to look like I'm a muscly man. He's just doing some horizontal pressing. And the reason this is so important is because it's developing his armour of his shoulders, because your pecs are attached to your shoulders, right? And what he's also doing, he's developing the strength of his elbows as well. So by going all the way down, he's strengthening his shoulders. And as a byproduct of pressing, he's not just strengthening his chest, his shoulders and his elbows. You skip this, your shoulders are just going to get pulled all over the place on the mats, and you're just actually going to get destroyed. So it's important that you have the ability to do this. Another horizontal press, and I know it looks like a vertical press, but I'm actually leaning forward a little bit, is dips. And the reason you can favour dips is because dips have a little bit more of an elbow focus. Now, if you have elbow problems, dips may serve you better in developing the strength of your elbows. If you have problems with your shoulders, this variation might help a little bit, but do them both. Hinge work. You can see all 3 of these blokes are training at home. Right, the reason hinge work is so important is because it starts to develop the strength and resilience of your spine. It starts with neutral spine, right? You need to form the foundation of strengthening your spine neutrally, and then you'll creep into other ranges of motion. Remember, the spine actually moves in a lot of different ways. And if it moves in a lot of different ways, you've got to ask yourself, why aren't I training all of these different functions of the spine? It bends to the left, it bends to the right, it bends forward, it curves. And everybody tells you, all of these doctors and everything will tell you, you'll do a manual method of handling at work, right? And they'll say, you have to lift like this. No, no, you don't. The only reason you need to lift like that is if you're weak. And the only way you oppose the weakness is by actually strengthening these muscles. So by doing these exercises with a neutral spine, you're strengthening, you're basically creating huge amount of stability in the back, right? Because these exercises want to pull your shoulders forward. They want to pull your shoulders forward. They want to curve your spine, but your spine needs to be extremely stable just to hold that position. We've got another variation here, and we've got another variation here. Right? Just remember, again, I want to build your confidence in doing these movements because it strengthens your spine. It doesn't have to be a deadlift, right? You can do a deadlift with a raised platform. It doesn't have to be. It could be a Romanian deadlift. It could be something like this. The point I'm making is that I said hinge work. I didn't say conventional deadlift, which you may have done, and it may have tweaked your back on many occasions. It doesn't need to start there. And these are the reasons why people are not doing them anymore. You need to have them in part of your program. One thing I'm a massive fan of at the moment is RDLs. However, another thing that I'm a massive fan of is actually curving my spine. Something that we've been told for years. It's unsafe. Fuck off. It's unsafe if you don't do them because your back will be fucked all the time. Need to train these ranges of motion, and it starts with hinge work. Exercise number 4, horizontal pulling. Pretty straightforward this, but now we're starting to work the armour on the back of our body. Again, he's at home and he's just doing a chest assisted dumbbell row here. Remember, if you've got shoulder problems, you need to. The reason he's doing it explosively is that he is on a little bit more of a erratic part of his program to sharpen his tools. If your shoulders are in a bad way, you need to think about being very laser focused with that exact area, but you also need to think about how you can zoom out after the pain's gone, zoom out and start to stack muscle fibers, structure, stability around the shoulders. The chest with your horizontal pressing and your horizontal pulling. Hopefully that makes sense. But again, you can see the same theme. You can see intent. You can see decent technique throughout. This is obviously a fancy machine. Not many people have access to this. This is one of the best versions of a horizontal pull. I can get full range of motion. It's an app, but it's very rare you see this in a gym. Just make sure you're doing a solid variation of a horizontal pull. All your rows, like basically everything. You want to maximize the amount of strength and muscle that you can build in your back muscles. Prioritize the lats by keeping a narrow elbow. Prioritize the traps by having a wide elbow. Do both. Because again, your traps are massive. They're so big, and they support your T-spine, they support your C-spine, and it connects into your shoulders as well. It's just pure armor. If you're not doing these things, your neck, your shoulders are going to be fucked. Simple. It's a choice, isn't it? And exercise number 5, I've went for knee isolation exercises, right? And some of you might not have access to the gym, but there's ways you can do this at home as well. The reason I'm saying knee isolation for longevity in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is that the knee is the most injured joint in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Last year, shoulder people came to me, and I had a lot more shoulder clients than I did previously. But my research leads me to believe that the knee is still the most injured joint in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. More people are wearing knee braces on the mats than any other injury, right? So exercise number 5 is going back to the knee again, just to make sure we double tap the weakest joint in Jiu-Jitsu. The reason it's weak is because, yes, you can say how we live our lives, and we've been scared shitless by not going beyond 90 degrees all of our lives. Most people on the mats don't even lift at all, so obviously they're going to be weak. And on the mats, we don't actually get any strength stimulus through a full knee bend. So essentially, Jiu-Jitsu makes your knees weaker. So it's obvious at the end of the day. This is just the reality of the situation. So doing the exercises alone is not enough. It is absolutely not enough. And I've been to the gym. I go to the gym 4 or 5 times per week and lift weights. I'm looking around and I'm seeing people yawning in the gym. People sat on their phones, not really doing anything of any sort of intensity, not really training with any sort of good execution, right? And I don't know what they're doing, out of the gym. So I might as well address in the most simple manner. This is the most important factor in you developing the strength of your joints. It's not. It's more important. It's the most important thing. And what I mean by this specifically is, you as a man taking pride in the amount of repetitions that you lift, and also the amount of weight that you lift, and having ambition and intent to develop those numbers week after week. I don't care how old you are, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old. If you are maintaining, you're just doing a warm-up set. So you need to have intensity, right? Write down your workouts, write down your sets, your reps, strength, and improve your lifting. If you're improving your lifting, you're improving the strength of your joints. Literal data every single week that shows proof of concept of what I'm saying is true. Execution. This can go into 2 different ways. It can go into having pride of technique, making sure you pride yourself in your technique. Every rep is a future investment in yourself. So you want it to be as close to the gold standard as possible. But it doesn't have to be my gold standard. It has to be your gold standard. So what you do in your head, you say, when you're doing these movements, you need to aspire to have perfect technique. It's never going to be perfect, but your aspirations want to be perfect. And the last part of that is tempo. Make sure you're controlling the movements, with a good amount of pride, both up and down. Control, tempo. Nutrition and sleep. Make sure you're eating plenty of carbohydrates before and after you train, because carbohydrates are king for high performance. Don't get sucked into any of them weird diets telling you to not eat carbohydrates and eat fat and meats and stuff like that. Your performance is going to be terrible. You're not going to be able to strengthen your joints. Sleep. Sleep is like a workout. Sleep is where you grow, where you develop. If your sleep's terrible, you don't really care about it, then you're not going to develop the strength of your joints, right? So making sure that you're getting whole food nutrition. 80% of your diet should be whole foods. Oats, rice, beef, eggs, chicken, fruit and veg, mixed salads, mixed vegetables, mixed berries, dark chocolate maybe, and then 20% of your diet can be a little bit of hormones. Sleep, 7 to 9 hours per night. If you can't get that, all you can do is try and improve the quality of those hours that you get. But really try and get that sleep in, because if you can't, you've got to ask yourself, what are you doing for the couple of hours before you go to sleep? What are you doing that's going to improve you sleeping? Just like you would ask yourself the same question before you lift weights. What are you doing before you train to ensure that you train to the best possible standard? You think about over your training session, you're thinking about hydration, you're thinking about carbohydrates, you're thinking about creatine, whatever. Before you sleep, you need to be thinking about reducing cortisol. Every time you pick up your smartphone and watch social media videos, that is supposed to increase cortisol to keep you on the app. Having deep, aggressive political discussions 10 o'clock at night. Come on, it's not ideal, is it? Let's be honest. I'm not going to tell you how to solve that problem. I'll do separate videos on it, but I'm just touching on it, right, to give you that appreciation. So, how to bring this into your week? How many sets per week? It's less than you think. And I've made this mistake in the past. I've done German volume training where you do 10 sets of every exercise or whatever. Shite, right? If you're a beginner, 2 sets on all of these exercises, 2 or 3 times per week, is unbelievable. If you're an intermediate lifter, doing 3 sets on all of these, 2 to 3 times a week, again, is unbelievable. And if you're advanced, doing 3 or more sets on all of these exercises 3 times per week, they're pretty decent, right? But with this and with these recommendations, always err on the side of caution. Remember, you want to be doing the minimum recoverable volume, right? And also, you've also got to consider that how long can you stick to this? How long can you actually be consistent to this? So if I'm saying to you, do 2 to 3 times per week, and you're humming and hawing over the idea of doing 3 times per week, okay, just do 2. Because 2 times 50 in a year is 100 training sessions, 100 opportunities of development to strengthen your joints for jiu-jitsu. Rather than you doing this for a couple of months and completely stopping and going to find high rocks or some other weird thing. Do you know what I mean? So always look at what you can do. If you're humming and hawing thinking, I might be able to do that, no. Bring it back down a session so you can literally look yourself in the mirror and go, I can definitely do that. Hopefully that makes sense. Gentlemen, that's it from me. 5 exercises to prevent injuries in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.